Hello children, welcome back again to Rini ma'am's class. Today we are going to start with a new poem, that is Colonel Fazackerley Butterworth Toast. It's been written by Charles Cosley. This is the first part of the video. So let us proceed and know about the poet. Charles Stanley Cosley. He was a poet, schoolmaster, and writer as well. His work is often noted for its simplicity and directness, as well as its associations with folklore, legends, and magic, especially when linked to his native Cornwall. He was born on 24th of August 1917, Launceston, United Kingdom, and he died on 4th November 2003, Launceston, United Kingdom, his birthplace. So, Charles Stanley Cosley was a poet, schoolmaster, and writer. So let us proceed with the poem Colonel Fazackerley Butterworth Toast. Colonel Fazackerley Butterworth Toast bought an old castle complete with a ghost. But someone or other forgot to declare to Colonel Fazack that the spectre was there. Colonel Fazackerley Butterworth Toast. He bought an old castle. I hope you all know what is a castle. It's a large, strong building built in the past by a ruler or important person to protect the people inside from attacks. So you might have seen in the movies, and you might have visited few of the castles, fairy tales, you might have seen the castles there. So these castles were built. So Colonel Fazackerley, he bought an old castle, and no one over there declared, or they might have forgotten, that this castle was a place where a ghost used to live. Spectre, ghost. On the very first evening, while waiting to dine, the colonel was taking a fine sherry wine, when the ghost, with a furious flash and a flare, shot out of the chimney and shivered, "Beware!" Furious means extremely angry. Flare, a sudden brief burst of bright flame or light. Shivered, shake slightly and uncontrollably as a result of being cold, frightened, or excited. So on the very first evening, while Colonel was waiting to dine, means he wanted to have his dinner, and he was taking some wine, suddenly the ghost, with a lot of anger, bursting in anger, came as a flash and flare. It just came with a bright flame or light, and he was out of the chimney, shot out of the chimney, and he was like shivering. He was slightly shaken and uncontrollable, and he shouted, "Beware!" Colonel Fazackerley put down his glass and said, "My dear fellow, that's really first class. I just can't conceive how you do it at all. I imagine you're going to a fancy dress ball." Colonel Fazackerley was very cool. He just put down his glass and he was like surprised. "Oh my God, I can't conceive, I can't imagine that how can you do all these things?" He was not at all frightened. He was not at all tensed. And he just said to the ghost that, and he thought and he said to that ghost that, I imagine you are going to a fancy dress ball. You know fancy dress? Yes. Most of you might have participated in the school and the competition, fancy dress competition, right? So Colonel Fazackerley, he thought that this fancy dress might have been going on, and so this person or the ghost has dressed up like the same. At this the dread ghost made a withering cry. Said the colonel, his monocle firm in his eye, now just how you do it I wish I could think. Do sit down and tell me, and please have a drink. Withering means intended to make someone feel humiliated, and monocle, a single eyeglass kept in position by the muscles around the eye. From this picture image you can see this person is having only one single eyeglass. So after listening to all these things by Colonel Fazackerley, the ghost made a very withering cry. He was humiliated and he made a cry, and just then the colonel took out his monocle firm and he said, now just how you do it I wish I could think. Now he wonders that how you are doing all this thing. I wonder, you sit down and we'll take a drink and we'll discuss on it. He was such a cool person, Colonel Fazackerley. The ghost in his phosphorus cloak gave a roar and floated about being ceiling and floor. He walked through a wall and returned through a pane and backed up the chimney and came down again. The ghost, like in his phosphorus cloak, Miss phosphorus means it's like some color, it has just withered little yellowish color. He was wearing that cloak and he gave a roar, he shouted, he made a roaring sound. And he just moved from the ceiling and floor. He was not able to understand how to make this person fear, how to just make him fear. And he walked through the wall and returned to the frame. Means he was just becoming like becoming like crazy, mad. He was just moving here and there and wanted to make this person, this Colonel Fazackerley, more and more having fear, but nothing hit him. He was so cool and calm. Thank you, children. Up till here we are done with the poem. Next part we will take up in the next video. Hope you like the poem. Just go through the video once again and go through the poem, recite the poem as well as from your course book. We'll meet soon with the next part of it. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay happy.